with the recent great play from Josh Giddey and Tre Jones, a lot of Bulls fans are wondering, well, are we able to re-sign both of these guys this upcoming offseason? And honestly, it's a really good question to ask. Some people are saying we can only keep one, some people are saying we can't keep either, and then we get tweets like this saying, well, the Chicago Bulls need to trade Lonzo Ball and Jevon Carter any way possible to be able to keep Josh Giddey and Tre Jones. Well, is this true? Do the Bulls need to trade both these guys to be able to keep Josh Giddey and Tre Jones this upcoming offseason? Well, we're going to answer that question using a full-out salary cap breakdown using Google Spreadsheets. This is going to be a full-out breakdown of the Tre Jones, Josh Giddey contracts and what it does and how it affects the Bulls' salary cap and luxury tax stuff this upcoming offseason. Before we get into the video, make sure you hit that like button if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Let's get into this. So this question is by Pull Out a Bull. Go check out his podcast for the Bulls. And to simply just answer this question of, do the Bulls need to trade Lonzo Ball and Jevon Carter so that they can keep Josh Giddey and Tre Jones this upcoming offseason? The simple answer is no. Or the most likely answer is no, pretty much. Just to give you like a straight up answer, the answer is no. They don't need to trade these guys, okay? Now I'll show you why they don't need to trade them in the spreadsheet here, okay? But I want to make this video for stuff like this because a lot of people are like kind of, you know, like starting to ask some questions that I'm like, well, let's actually look at this. And this is kind of the reason why I want to make this video. So here's a full out, just kind of look at the spreadsheet that I have here. This is a spreadsheet made by Doug Thona. So here's his Twitter account. He also has a Bulls blog and podcast. So go check him out here. I'll link his Twitter and also the spreadsheet that he made that I made a copy of in the description box below. So go check that out. To kind of just go over this whole spreadsheet just so we all know what we're looking at here. So here's obviously the players, here's the seasons and their contracts for each season, okay? Here's dead money, so this only matters for this year. Duarte and Craig have dead money on the books for this year, okay? Player team option, pretty self-explanatory, all right? Now here's the numbers that we need to be keeping an eye on for the rest of this video, okay? So keep an eye on this perp number specifically that I'm scrolling over with my cursor here. Keep an eye on this number. This could be changing throughout the video, okay? Here are the salary cap and luxury tax projected numbers for the upcoming seasons, okay? And then keep an eye on these numbers as well. So here is the math. So I'm doing the math for you here, and it's gonna be shown in your face. Here's how much money the Bulls have in terms of salary cap space, and then here's how much money the Bulls have in terms of luxury tax space, okay? Here's also the first apron. Just really quickly, I'm just gonna go over this quickly. The first apron is above the luxury tax line. As you can see here, luxury tax line is 187. First apron is 195 million. Okay, if the Bulls decide to use the non-taxpayer mid-level exception or the biannual exception or acquire a player via sign and trade, this will trigger a hard cap at the first apron. However, because we're the Chicago Bulls and we're owned by Jerry Reinsdorf, we will never be in the luxury tax. Therefore, it does not matter. This is not that important to us. Our hard cap, which is not really a hard cap, is the luxury tax line, which is going to be this number in this video. Okay, so just keep this in mind. All right, now before I start plugging in some numbers here, which I know for a lot of people are wondering, oh, like how is this going to work? So just to kind of show you what we're doing here, let's say if Tre Jones got a $14 million contract this upcoming offseason by the Chicago Bulls. I added this number changes. As you can see here, it automatically does the math here. So all of a sudden the Bulls do not have any salary cap space, as you can see. Okay, but I'm going to take this number away right now because I need to talk about a few things before we get into this. So first and foremost, I just want to talk about, this is Spot Track, by the way, great website. I'm on this almost every day. The Bulls obviously have Tre Jones and Josh Giddey heading into free agency this upcoming offseason, okay? Tre Jones could be an unrestricted free agent, okay, which means that he can basically sign anywhere for any money, okay? He gets to choose where he wants to go. Josh Giddey to be a restricted free agent, okay? And just to make it simply, just like in simple terms, for Josh Giddey being a restricted free agent, that means that if Josh Giddey gets a contract offered to him by another team this upcoming offseason, the Bulls have 24 hours to match that offer. If they do match that offer, then Josh Giddey comes right back to the Bulls. So Giddey does not have, you know, full freedom to go and choose where he wants to go, okay? He can get offers from another team, but the Bulls then can bring him right back if they just match the offer that's given to him, okay? So as you can see, like, he can't just like decide where he wants to go, but he can go out and get any offer from any team, okay? Taylor Horton-Tucker is also a free agent. We won't really be talking about him in this video, but these two guys are the free agents for the Bulls this upcoming offseason, okay? The other thing to keep in mind is the cap holds, okay? A lot of people don't really realize this, but each free agent for a team has a cap hold. So Josh Giddey is going to have a $25 million cap hold. Tre Jones will have a $17.3 million cap hold. This counts against the salary cap, okay? I want to keep this, just kind of keep this in mind for you guys, because a lot of people just think this doesn't matter. This does matter, and I'll show you why. Because, as you can see here on the spot track, projected salary cap space for teams, the Bulls are projected at the 4th most salary cap space this upcoming offseason. Well, that's if they get rid of all these cap holds for Giddey and Jones. And I'll explain why the Bulls cannot get rid of those cap holds. Just put it simply, if they get rid of those cap holds, they're not re-signing them, okay? They'll lose their ability to re-sign these guys. AKA, the Bulls do not have salary cap space this upcoming offseason. I want to make that clear, all right? The other thing to keep in mind is this, all right? A lot of what I see on Twitter and a lot of stuff I see on, in videos for, from other Bulls content creators, a lot of people are talking about, like, well, the Bulls need to clear out salary cap space so that the Bulls will have enough salary cap space to re-sign both these guys, okay? I just want to make this clear right now. The Bulls are not going to have salary cap space this upcoming offseason, but that does not mean that they're not able to re-sign Giddey and Jones, okay? If you actually look right here, right, the Bulls are already operating over the salary cap in this season, okay? You can see the salary cap is at $140 million. The Bulls' total salaries, and I'm not factoring in a Matt Thomas cap hold here, but the total salaries all listed here is $165 million, okay? In the NBA, the salary cap is a soft cap, okay? A lot of teams, most teams in the NBA operate over the salary cap, okay? But just because you're over the salary cap does not mean that you're in the luxury tax. That's a big difference, okay? You have a lot of room before you hit the luxury tax while being over the salary cap. And the Bulls, as you can see from the spreadsheet, they're above the salary cap, but they're not in the luxury tax, okay? The luxury tax line is $171 million. The Bulls are at 165, okay? So they're not in the luxury tax, but they are over the salary cap. And they will be doing just that in this upcoming offseason, okay? As I said earlier, both Jones and Giddey have cap holds, okay? And while this number right now says that we have some salary cap space, okay? If you factor in both these cap holds, which again, they do count against the salary cap, the Bulls won't have any salary cap space. Just do the simple math, okay? I'm not factoring that in currently, but just do the simple math. The Bulls obviously will not have salary cap space, all right? So just keep this in mind. Now, if you're wondering, well, how can the Bulls re-sign Tre Jones and Josh Giddey without any salary cap space? The way you do that is with something called bird rights, okay? Just to simply put bird rights into terms, all right? The way a player or a team acquires bird rights for a player is if that player is on that team for 3 consecutive years or more, okay? Then that team is able to re-sign that player over the salary cap or to go over the salary cap. Doesn't matter. Basically, the salary cap with bird rights does not matter when it comes to that specific player, okay? Now, if you're wondering, well, we've only had Jones and Giddey for 1 season, right? If you do acquire a player via trade, you also acquire their bird rights, okay? So Josh Giddey was with the Thunder for 3 years, right? So at that moment, he already had bird rights with the Thunder. When the Bulls traded for Giddey, they also acquired his bird rights, okay? So now the Bulls acquired those three years, aka the Bulls have bird rights in Giddey, and now they have a 4th year now with this season, okay? Tre Jones, same story, okay? The Spurs had bird rights in Tre Jones. The Bulls traded for Tre Jones. Bulls acquired his bird rights, okay? Therefore, with the bird rights, the salary cap basically does not matter, okay? So I want to just kind of make this clear when it comes to both these guys. The salary cap really does not matter at all. And so a lot of people are saying, oh, we need to clear out salary cap space so we're under the salary cap to re-sign both these guys. That's not true, okay? The Bulls do not need to clear out salary cap space to make sure that we're under the salary cap to re-sign these guys. They can re-sign both these guys while being over the salary cap, okay? So that's everything I wanted to get out before I start plugging in numbers for you guys, as we're now going to officially start plugging in some numbers, okay? So to kind of go back to this question, like, do we need to trade contracts out to re-sign both these guys, okay? So let's just add in some contracts. So let's say that Tre Jones gets $14 million this upcoming offseason from the Bulls, okay? So that's $14 million added. By the way, if a player gets a contract, the cap hold wipes away and is filled in with the new salary, okay? So this $17.3 million cap hold will go away from Jones. His salary is then replaced, or the salary replaces it, and $14 million is now on the books for him instead of the 17.3, okay? For Josh Giddey, let's say he gets $25 million per season from the Bulls, okay? Which I intentionally, if you're wondering, I'm intentionally giving these guys higher contracts than what I think they're going to get, especially for Giddey. I personally don't think Giddey will be getting $25 million a year. I'll make a video later down the road explaining why, but I'm shooting high just to kind of play it safe, right? If these guys would get these contracts, which there's a possibility, but I don't think it will happen. I think they'll get lower contracts. Do the Bulls have enough money before the luxury tax line to keep these guys without trading anybody away? Okay. And the answer to this question, as you can see here, is yes. They have enough money below the luxury tax line to keep both these guys and re-sign them to pretty big deals, right? And not be in the luxury tax. They're fine. They would have $6 million below the luxury tax. So just again, to go back to the initial question here, the Bulls don't really need to trade Lonzo Ball and Javon Carter to keep both these guys, okay? In a theoretical sense. However, okay, it is important to keep note that if the Bulls do sign both these guys to these big deals, okay, then they only have $6 million below the luxury tax to quote unquote spend. And if I was running the Bulls personally, I would want to use most of the non-taxpayer mid-level exception to go out and sign a guy, okay? If you're wondering what the non-taxpayer mid-level exception is, it is money that a team over the salary cap can use and not have to worry about being under the salary cap to go and sign a guy. The most recent example of this is Jalen Smith. The Bulls in the last offseason, while being over the salary cap, were able to bring in Jalen Smith on a free agent contract using the non-taxpayer mid-level exception, and they did not have to clear out any salary cap space, okay? However, that money does count towards the luxury tax, okay? Just as any money does in terms of contracts. So, as you can see here, if, let's say, for example, the Bulls want to go and sign a guy in free agency using the non-taxpayer mid-level exception, which is about $14 million to spend, well, the problem is that if they would spend all 14, then they're in the luxury tax. And as we know, again, Jerry Reinsdorf will not allow the Bulls to be in the luxury tax. So the hard cap, again, not real hard cap, but the hard cap for the Bulls is the luxury tax line. So they basically have $6 million to spend. The other thing is that most teams, like, they would typically like to leave a gap, you know, like a little bit of margin of error between what they're allowed to spend and their quote unquote hard cap. Just in case you need to sign someone to a minimum contract, you know, if you want to buy out, sign a guy to a buyout deal, or if there's an injury that happens and you need to, you know, sign someone to an injury exception. That's all money that counts towards the overall salary cap. Therefore, it's going to count against the luxury tax if you are worried about it. So in theoretical sense, like, the Bulls wouldn't have really any money to spend if Giddey and Jones got these contracts, which leads to my point here of that it's important for the Bulls to try to get these guys on as cheapest contracts as possible. Not just for their spending for this upcoming offseason, but also for down the road, if they need to trade these guys or just to have more salary cap flexibility. It's important to get these guys on cheap contracts, or as cheap of contracts as possible. So, for example, like, let's say for Tre Jones, he gets $12 million instead. While I understand it's like, oh, it's only $2 million difference. Well, it's actually important. Like, just doing that alone, you know, the Bulls have a little bit more money to spend before hitting the luxury tax line. So, in this sense, the Bulls would have, in theoretical sense, $8 million to spend before hitting the luxury tax, so they can spend $8 million on a free agent, okay, using the non-taxpayer mid-level exception. But for Giddey, more specifically, which I think he's the guy that the Bulls can try to get, you know, on a more cheaper contract than $25 million. Let's say he goes for only $20 million, which I think is going to be closer to the actual number if AK does things right this upcoming offseason. Then, as you can see here, this opens up more space for the Bulls to go ahead and spend more than non-taxpayer mid-level exception or spend the biannual exception on a free agent. And it's important, at least for me, because there are guys in this upcoming free agency class, which is not really that great, but there are some guys I would like to take a flyer on. So, for example, I don't know why he's listed at center, but like Santi Aldama is a restricted free agent. Again, restricted free agent. Memphis can match any offer he gets. So probably a low chance the Bulls can get him, but who knows? But, you know, one guy I've always been looking at is like Precious Achiuwa. He's an unrestricted free agent, so he can go anywhere he wants to. And, you know, he's only 25 when he hits free agency, and the Bulls need forward depth. I know that, like, oh, is he going to take minutes from Matas Buzelis? Like, I am aware of that, but, you know, I don't think he'd be taking that many minutes. But, you know, if you want to take a flyer on a young forward, like, here you go. You know, here's a guy that I would think would be willing to take somewhere around the mid-level exception to go to a team. If you want a guy like Kelly Oubre, like, I mean, he's also another guy that would probably take like mid-level exception money. I'm guaranteeing he's going to decline this option. So I would, you know, if you want to be in the running for Kelly Oubre, you need to make sure that these guys here are able to, you know, they don't have that big of contracts. Okay, that's important to keep in mind so that you have money to spend with the non-taxpayer mid-level exception that you're going to have available. So this is just kind of showing you like how important it is for the Bulls to get these contracts right. Tre Jones could go anywhere, so like there is a chance that you offer him a decent chunk of money and he could just, you know, be like, I want to go to a contending team, which he has every right to do so. So maybe there is a chance you just don't even have to worry about him. But I think Bulls fans want to keep both, which at least in my opinion, I would try to keep both. But I'm also aware that they're not able to like trade guys like Vucevic or Javon Carter. So do they have enough money? And just to show you guys in full, you know, overall numbers in your face, like, yeah, the Bulls would be able to re-sign both these guys to even bigger deals than I'm expecting them to get and not have to trade any of these guys away up here. So I want to go ahead and just show you guys this overall just math and everything. If you want a copy of this spreadsheet, I'm willing to also send you guys this copy. So let me know in the comment section down below. Yeah, I overall think it's important the Bulls get these guys on the cheapest contracts as possible. I also factored in like 9th overall pick, which by the way, the Bulls get a higher pick. This salary is much bigger, just keep in mind. But if it were up to me personally about what I would do for the Bulls this upcoming offseason, like I would trade Vooch, like just get him off the team any way possible. Obviously, like I would personally like to get Collins off the team. He's playing well, but he makes a lot of money. I don't think Herter's played really that great, but he also makes a lot of money. And, you know, I would love to get Javon Carter off the team as well, but I don't think the team's going to be willing to take him. Couple things in mind that the Bulls need to kind of make decisions on. Kobe White is on the last year of his contract, and he's playing well recently, so shout out to him. But he will be an unrestricted free agent after next season, and that means he can just leave for nothing, right? So if you're the Bulls, do you want to risk that and try to re-sign him, or do you want to cash in before he hits free agency and get some value before he might leave for nothing? And if you're going to do that, you probably should have done that at the trade deadline, but better late than never. So we'll see what AK actually decides to do, which I don't have any faith in that he's going to make the right decision, but we'll see what he does here. But overall, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about any sort of the salary cap stuff, please leave in the comment section down below. I'm going to be answering all salary cap questions in the comment section, so go ahead and leave a question down below. I love this stuff, so please feel free to answer or to give me any questions. If I made an error in this video, I'm not perfect, so please let me know if I made an error. I'm more than willing to learn about if I made any sort of errors, but I think I got this right. But the CBA, there's a lot of rules, right, in the CBA, so I'm not perfect, so I'm sure that I make errors when I talk about this sort of stuff here. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit the like button on the video if you enjoyed it. If you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button. I want to say thank you guys so much for being such an awesome community. You guys have been awesome. Shout out to my community. You guys are great. Thank you guys so much for supporting me. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.